So a couple of days before, I uploaded my review of Suicide Squad, and way before I watched the movie, the reviews that came into the movie just given warning bells. The movie gets a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty bizarre in my opinion, and yet movies like Ghostbusters 2016 get 74%. Now, I'm not really sure why there are some people who are willing to take a step forward to actually make a petition of all things to ban Rotten Tomatoes for essentially making DC look bad in the face of the public. Here's the thing. Am I the only one who finds this petition to be a massive joke? The description alone is telling. That grammar is something I expect from my older videos, and I'm optimistic that people are signing in because they thought this is the funniest thing that they've ever seen in their life. Even the comments are ridiculous. It's like that hilarious petition to ban guns in Overwatch. But maybe this petition has some form of credibility. I mean, sure, Batman v Superman got slammed by Rotten Tomatoes and got liked by the audiences, oddly enough with almost the same numbers as Suicide Squad, shut up Kenji. Now, if you want to know my feelings on Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman, you can watch my previous reviews, but one thing that you absolutely need to focus on is the critics who contribute on the Rotten Tomatoes score, because there are some sites that should give you absolute warning bells. The first one, and in my opinion the most important one to address on the one who contributes on the review of Suicide Squad, is none other than the Mary Sue. Yep, the Mary Sue of all people actually contributes on the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. And who's the writer of the review of Suicide Squad in this case? Maddie Myers, as in the same moron who said Rainbow Mika is the sexist, misogynist, but hot Ryu? When we brought into this issue, she downright defends her hypocrisy in another article. Watch this video if you want more of this nonsense. Let's compare and contrast that to reviews of Ghostbusters 2016, which all of the critics kept saying that this is amazing, funny, and all of that. But let's get into the opinions by the top critics because holy crap, it's freaking cringeworthy. It's funny and nuanced in its funniness. Has to lols. Angry nerds, take notes. The ladies are the best things about this franchise reboot. Kate McKinnon is a spontaneous eruption of hellfire hilarity. A middle finger to the screaming bro babies. If ghosts can't be Ghostbusters, then here, guys can't do anything. A goofy, free-floating romp with an anarchic spirit of its own. A fresh set of scares and laughs, and a moderate dose of girl power that is unlikely to seem confrontational to anyone beyond the most confirmed basement-dwelling Gamergate troll. And now you're putting Gamergate to the mix. If you want to know the sign of a corrupt and biased publication, they would put Gamergate in a bad light. Because Gamergate is a movement to fight unethical journalism. So if you see a writer from a publication putting a negative spin in the Gamergate, that should be a warning flag for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that whatever the writer says is wrong, although most of the time it is, but you should be warned of every single word that they say later. I'm just baffled on why these writers got a position to review movies in Rotten Tomatoes. Now, let's get back to Suicide Squad. The same moron who said Gamergate trolls said this about the movie. Sure, it's terrible, but it's not even close to the worst movie of the summer of the year. I mean, look, I have no problems with people having different opinions, but try to be at least in some form of ways reasonable with it. This is the same guy who thinks that Gamergate is a hate campaign, when it's freaking not. This guy clearly has a bias and clearly has an agenda, and on the top of that, he's working for Salon, who is a publication that has the balls to publish things like Pedophiles Didn't Do Nothing. They contribute to the Rotten Tomatoes scale, and they're rating Ghostbusters good only because it supports their ideology of feminism. Thank you, Kenji. I'm not saying that you cannot have an opinion that Ghostbusters 2016 is good and Suicide Squad is bad. I'm just saying that if you're trying to write a review of it, especially for a big publication, you need to be at least in some form of ways try to represent the movie correctly. I'm gonna let Roger Ebert lecture you guys on how to do it properly.
There has to be some reporting in every review. I mean, first of all, you have to play fair with your reader. Here's what I think a movie review should do. The first thing it should do, it should give some notion to the reader of what the movie is about and what it is like. If you play fair with your reader, you can give a movie a bad review and they'll still be able to read that review and know that they would like to go see that movie. You shouldn't just, blast it in such a way that the reader would think no reasonable person would ever want to go to this film. You have to give the movie its day in court, too. There has to be something in there that conveys what the experience is like.
Suicide Squad here is being criticized, but
there are some people who are critiquing it for just the wrong reasons. And again, they contribute to the Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic score. Here's a review from Vanity Fair. This dimwit just criticized the movie for, and I'm not kidding here,
adult chore steeped in flaccid machismo, a shapeless, poorly edited trudge that adds some mildly appalling sexism and even a soupcon of racism to its abundant, hideously timed gun worship.
I am not even done there.
Toxic white male nerd Avengers, vulgar, mean, and sexist. 6 ways Suicide Squad is the Donald Trump of superhero movies. How Suicide Squad uses and abuses Harley Quinn.
One hilarious example is the Washington Post. Listen to this.
Giddy with gratuitous fetishistic gunplay, kinky sexual innuendo between the Joker and his girlfriend Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, larded with mean-spirited profanity, Suicide Squad was deemed fit for a PG-13 rating by the MPAA's board, a fact that might give thinking people's pause, until they remember that the film will open just days after a preteen kid yelled that "Take that bitch down" at a Donald Trump rally in Virginia. Children are children, his mother reportedly shrugged.
Now, putting in Donald Trump as a joke is totally fine, it wouldn't be the problem, except 1 month previously,
can we stop obsessing over politics? Ghostbusters is sublimely silly!
I should have seen it coming. I should have read the signs.
And you thought those were stupid? There are so many critics that were crying over the fact that the movie made so much money, and then there are those that literally say that the critical reception of the movie will definitely beat the movie. This movie got way too much more money than Ghostbusters. Oh my god! No! No! Oh my god! Now, I don't find myself putting in way too much faith to modern critics these days. If video game critics can be this hilariously biased, movie critics can also be this hilariously biased. And it seems like there are a lot of this towards DC movies as well. Let's take a look at the box office, shall we? Suicide Squad managed to make more than its budget, even though the movie was released in August 5th. Ghostbusters 2016 was released exactly 1 month ago, and still couldn't make its budget now. Seriously, can these imaginary conspiracies starting to sound more and more credible? For now, we're just gonna focus on one article that screams painful cringe, because it really is a painful cringe.
Nerd culture is fighting a losing battle against reality!
Wow, just quite a disgusting projection there.
An article from The Independent reports that one disgruntled DC fan has started a petition to shut down film review site Rotten Tomatoes for the crime of branding Suicide Squad rotten after a barrage of negative reviews. As of writing, the petition currently has 14,000 supporters, meaning that thousands of people legitimately believe that negative movie reviews are, in some ways, immoral.
It's not that it's immoral, it's just that it's stupid. Take, for example,
from Suicide Squad to The Killing Joke, does DC have a problem with women?
I also did a review of The Killing Joke, just in case you're wondering, and just a little reminder, this is one of Harley Quinn's scenes in Batman the Animated Series.
Ahem.
Go away, I'm busy.
Aw, come on, Puddin'. Don't you want to rev up your Harley? Vroom, vroom.
Scrolling to the comments and trying to avoid the raw outpourings of misspelled hatred, the general thinking appears to be that negative reviews will discourage people from seeing the film and damage DC's film franchise as a whole. What the fans are suggesting, essentially, is that film critics refrain from criticizing that a negative opinion is the wrong one. This misguided call for censorship may be hilarious, but it's also plain ignorant and sadly indicative of modern-day geek culture. The ironclad loyalty inspired by whatever intellectual property the fans chose to define themselves is becoming outright evangelical.
Listen, man, you can have different opinions, but at least you need to have those opinions to be substantiated with at least some form of accuracy towards the source material being directed. For example, if you want to criticize Dynasty Warriors, you can criticize it for its repetitive nature, horrendous voice acting, and not really much to do other than beating people up. These things are actually causing harm to the game, which is why they deserve to be pointed out. But then you have people at Vice criticizing Dynasty Warriors for being too Asian. If Vice has the power to employ people like this to criticize movies, I'm not gonna put my faith on Vice for criticizing other movies. And I'm especially not gonna put them in Rotten Tomatoes. You can watch my previous video on that where I went full freaking berserk for how stupid that article is.
Let's be honest, from the beginning it was clear that Suicide Squad was gonna be a bit of a letdown. Last minute reshoots, costumes seemingly inspired by Hot Topics, and Jared Leto's childish behind the scenes antics were all ripe for poking fun, but strangely, most of the opinion pieces and reportings regarding Suicide Squad were manically optimistic, practically to the point of propaganda. They were catering it to the masses, frightened to criticize perhaps, because modern-day fans have a tendency to form a threatening swarm and override the comment section with their angry buzzing. Any article that dares to criticize a popular franchise runs the risk of attack from the dreaded swarm.
These fans are not demanding you to have the same opinions as them. These fans are demanding you to be objective and rate the movie for what it is and not for what it isn't. Criticizing the movie for mildly appalling sexism and gun worship is really not helping your case. Praising Ghostbusters 2016 for being good only because it pisses off Gamergate trolls is also not helping your case.
Geek culture entered the mainstream long ago, and the stereotype of the shy, nerdy introvert has disappeared, replaced with a loud and obnoxious internet troll. Their chronic outrage is directed at casting decisions and changes to established canon, while simultaneously fighting the slightest hint of outsider criticism. Like soldiers defending their territory, they crush any opposition to their cause, willing to deny reality in the belief that their chosen faith, whether it's Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, is the true path to entertainment. The nerds have taken over the earth, and their reign is unexpectedly authoritarian.
Holy shit, Kenji, what an appalling projection that you got there. I can literally say these same things to Ghostbusters 2016 fans. The only exception being that instead of residing in YouTube comments, they write in big journalistic outlets writing really dumb shit like, I made 4 videos on the stupidities if you're interested.
The hideous Gamergate was a collective attempt by the angry fans to push the women out of the gaming industry entirely and continue the traditional reign of the heterosexual male.
Hideous Gamergate! Oh my god! That awful, awful human beings wants to drive women out of gaming! Oh my god! If someone suddenly claims to you that Gamergate is a movement to move women out of gaming, just so you know that once upon a time, someone said that Total Biscuit is the leader of Gamergate, as in the #1 PC gaming critic, as in a YouTuber with 2 million subscribers, as in a really big YouTuber who is somehow, with all of his videos, driving women out of gaming. I've been watching TB ever since middle school, and he has yet to command my impressionable teenage self, hey, women, get out of gaming, now!
But women should never be allowed to drive.
No! It's a movement to fight unethical morons like you, who cannot even stay objective about an article expecting the fans to be objective. Irony!
Like a soul who doesn't know Jesus floating without purpose.
Yet the influence of women on the world of gaming has contributed greatly to its evolution. By forcing the industry to appeal beyond its limited core audience, interesting titles like The Sims, Minecraft, and Pokemon Go are whirled away from the adolescence power fantasies that the industry was funded on.
I'm sorry, but did you just get caved into the same rock that Vice did?
I know how you pagans take advantage of others.
Yet nerd culture continues to actively fight integration. They're loyal traditionalists, interested only in seeing their favorite characters depicted exactly the way they have always imagined them, and for the audience and critics to simply applaud their brilliance without seeking changes of their own, attempted to integrate a healthy variety of ethnicity and gender, or responded with fury. The innocuous casting of Idris Elba, Michael B. Jordan, and the entire female cast of Ghostbusters inspired with a terrifying tidal wave of racism, sexism, and downright hatred. But what on earth is all the fuss about? Why do these whimsical work of fiction inspire such dedication?
Projection alert! I would also ask the questions like, why would you write hit pieces to the entire geek culture and writing hit pieces attacking a perfectly innocent man for simply sharing his opinions? Local man refuses to see a movie! Oh my god! How dare he has an opinion! And I love the fact that you're perfectly willing to change white characters to black people, but when the same thing happens to Modoko Kusanagi, you'll flip your shit out.
Perhaps in our era of globalization, as the ancient barriers of culture and religion slowly crumble, we created new ones to take their place, new mythologies that define and inspire us, that separate us from the others, the fake fans. Or maybe it's the dying breath of a group that was once shunned by the rest of the society, now unwilling to be embraced back into the masses.
As if you're credible enough to represent the masses. Tell me, did all of those pointless insults that you give to so many other people for not liking Ghostbusters 2016 work? We can just literally look at the numbers. You have lost. You've lost in numbers. You might have won Rotten Tomatoes, but you have lost what matters the most to the industry. And that is money and profit. Now, as an artist whose work can only go as far as fanfictions and YouTube videos, I don't consider money and profit to be the main goal. I consider making entertaining stories and entertaining videos to be a main goal. And it seems like Suicide Squad has followed this mantra better than Ghostbusters 2016. Despite what I think of the movie, what matters the most is that the movie wins the crowd. Despite what the critics are gonna say about the movie, Suicide Squad is still rocking in the box office for simply being entertaining to the masses. And even when I don't like the movie, at least the movie can give joy and fun to everyone else, which is the most important thing that a movie should do. Ghostbusters 2016 can only give cringe and absolute unpleasantness to everyone, which is why it fails spectacularly in the box office. So in conclusion, modern critics are a bunch of jokers. I'm gonna have lots of fun making fun of these jokers as they keep making more and more BS to spew. Sexism in Suicide Squad. What's next? Sexism in pinball? I was joking. I was joking. I was joking.